Well, howdy there, Internet people, it's Belle again, and welcome to the Roads with Belle. Today is the Roads to Your Questions in mid-June. Okay, so we got a couple of different variations of this question. The same map accompanied all of them, and all of the questions were very skeptical. The map is showing projections of how a nuclear exchange might impact the U.S. Most of the questions are from Gen Z. Here's one of the questions. Can you take a look at this map? Is this accurate? It seems off to me. I have never seen a more inaccurate map. I've never seen this much wrong in one map. It seems off because it is. Way off. Trust your instincts on this one. To describe the map, it shows likely targets as red dots, and a band of what it calls a fallout zone in orange, in kind of a rainbow shape stretching across the country. And then the safe areas in green. Literally none of this is right. I'll try to track down a link to a real projection somewhere. But off top, there's no way for the likely targets listed on the map to create the fallout zone depicted. It's not even consistent with itself. Major targets are not on the map. A nuclear exchange would sever major hubs of communication and trade. Major hubs in this context means Los Angeles, New York, Denver, and so on. Any map that lists New York and D.C. as relatively safe is wrong. Moving all federal government offices back to D.C. is another Trump-Chesterton's fence moment. After going through this, Dana walked by and said the reason I couldn't find the source for the horrible map is because it looks like it's made by generative AI. Next question. Stop calling them Republicans. Call them what they are. Extremists, far right, and things like that. Your soft language is legitimizing them. Stop legitimizing them. Is it? When you use charged language like that, they turn the argument into, I'm not an extremist. I'm just a common sense down-home conservative. If you call them far right, you actually help them create the divide between the Republican Party and their policies. Their policies aren't good and aren't popular. Even a quarter of self-identified MAGA oppose the Trump agenda. It's the Republican Party. If they don't want to be associated with the policies as pushed by the President, Speaker, and Senate Majority Leader, maybe they need a new party. Y'all, this next one is great. And it answers another question we get about, do these people ever write back? Well, yes, some do. And here we go. Look, lady, the reason I called you a corporal is because when I was looking into the military, I learned that a captain is a company commander. Why would I call you something that deserves respect? I was pointing out that you don't know, or you didn't know what you were talking about. Your little rebuttal, misspelled, of letting the Iranis handle it was cute, but it isn't the only option. Trump could order a single strike like Soleimani and put Iran in its place. When you were looking into the military, huh? That one sentence there makes this so much funnier. Captains deserve respect, but corporals apparently don't. Got it. I had limited exposure to corporals, but generally I like E4s. I respect their ability to get things done. The strike on Soleimani put Iran in their place. See, Iran actually responded to that. 11 troops were medically evac'd. 8 wound up at Landstuhl Regional Medical Center in Germany. Fun fact about that hospital, they had the best coffee on the first floor. Also, the design was brilliant. It was built so that if it was bombed and it happened to get hit, it was easy to evacuate to another wing. A bunch wound up there with TBIs, but I think they were mostly enlisted, so I guess according to you, they're not worth respect. After Trump's ill-advised hit on Soleimani, Iran responded, and then Trump stood down. That's why they aren't taking him seriously now. Moving on. Correcting the guy who got your rank wrong, but not commenting on him calling you a C word is peak female vet. Oh, I can absolutely be a Captain C word if the situation calls for it. Next question. I watched the Madam Secretary series a while back, and they used a lot of back channels. What does that look like in real life? While it can't be proven, such is the nature of a back channel, is it reasonable to expect that our living former presidents and former officials are contacting their back channel contacts to keep us out of a war as much as possible? Back channels exist. There's one being used for Trump and Iran to talk, while both are claiming they aren't talking. The real interesting back channels being used right now are probably happening more between different Arab states as they try to figure out their response to everything happening. In real life, at least what I know about, I don't have firsthand knowledge of presidential back channels. But an official from one country calls somebody trusted by both them and the other party and reaches out to say something like, "Hey, look, things are hot, but U.S. red lines would be X, Y, and Z." It could help limit the scope of conflict, but I have no idea whether or not Trump knows the value of that. Okay, so this is one that I have to summarize. There's enough info to be identifying. Basically, a relative is a vet on disability, has access to firearms, fell for Trump during his first term, flirted with extremism. His family separated, and now he's losing his house, and the message writer is worried about compounding factors and multiple stressors, and wants to know about different resources. We get messages like this occasionally. We can't give advice on individual cases because there's no way to get all the details through email. But generally, if you feel strongly enough about it to be asking about it, you're probably right. For vets, there are a bunch of resources, but knowing which one is the right one is something you'll have to determine. The key thing is to maintain your safety while you do it. This is from last week, but I felt it might be funny to include now. You're covering up Trump's obvious plan to take D.C. Everybody is talking about the troops and the parade being a cover, especially when he's deploying on the other coast too. There's more to it, and you're ignoring it. Don't you think it's more than a coincidence to have troops on both coasts at the same time? I get that people are on edge, but we can't jump at every rumor or theory that gains traction. There were less troops used in the parade and in LA than there were to take Panama. Far less. There are always troops on both coasts. Don't let speculation lead you to believe things are worse than they are. I have a video on the roads to martial law. I promise, if things go that way, it will not be a surprise. Do you have any info on the VA no longer being required to serve unmarried vets or those of different political affiliations? It's way more complicated than that. There was a rule change, and it looks like it was trying to target trans people. There are other regulations that currently prohibit the kind of discrimination a lot of reporting says would be allowed. This is kind of like a state getting rid of the charge of murder in the third degree, and people taking that to mean that murder is legal. Murder 1 and 2 still exist. That being said, the change is bad, and it seems like foreshadowing worse things to come. I don't think the original outlet was really wrong in this case, just should have added more context. It's another rollback. It's, to me, a bad rollback, but single vets will still get care. Okay, so that looks like it. A little more information, a little more context, and having the right information will make all the difference. Y'all have a good day.